Now speak. Okay. Okay. Let me turn down the gain on this. I think that's probably why it's all crazy. So let's begin. Hello, everybody. It's me, Anthony Jones, aka Robotpencil, and I am speaking to you guys from my studio, the Robotpencil studio. Maybe I'll give you guys a tour. Not right now, because I have my camera set up all perfect. But we will maybe one day show you guys everything that's going on in here. It's not that large. It's from there to there, which is really not that much, but it's nice. It's cozy, and I just wanted to say a few things. One of the things is that I'm very happy to see that I have 10,000 subscribers. So this is really to you guys, for everyone who's subscribed, and I just want to say thank you guys for following my work and really been giving me a lot of love and respect and support over the years. And I'm going to be doing more of these videos. I'm going to be talking to you guys more and more, and my plan is to try to do at least one to two videos every week of me just talking to you guys, talking about things that I think are cool, things that I think are going on, and try to stay relevant. And so today I think I'm going to talk about a topic that I think I have really strong feelings for, something that I want to talk more about and really get more instruction on this, and I think people should hear more of this. So this is not just to other artists, this is to everybody. This is to anybody who is a creative person, who have creative endeavors, who have creative ideas. This is really for you guys, okay? So what is the topic that I'm about to talk about? Well, one of the things that I want to talk about is about becoming an artist. And I don't mean just like drawing, because that's what I do. I'm talking about just something that is, well, creative. Like from music to designing to, I don't know, what else is there? Like making movies, making short films, tons of stuff that we can associate to the creative arts. Acting, directing, you name it. So what is it that I'm trying to say here? I'm trying to say that being creative is just as valuable as, let's say, being academically inclined. And what I mean by that, creativeness behind academics, or equal to that. What I'm trying to get at is that being creative in modern education today, specifically like, from middle school to high school, is an elective. You get what I'm saying? If you want to draw, it's just extra credit. Or maybe you have one class that is the fun artsy class where you do fun stuff. And now I know that there's a lot of schools out there, a lot of high schools, a lot of middle schools that are actually trying to change this, trying to shift into making the creative arts a little bit more important and almost a requirement. And I'm with that. In fact, I feel like there should be a good balance between, science and math, English and literature, all this great stuff, biology, chemistry, physics, and also, the creative arts, from graphic design, product design, understanding how to speak, understanding how to act, and all these types of things are very valuable. And they're not taught to you as if they are. No one really teaches you that becoming an artist is something of value. They say, well, if you become an artist, you're going to starve, which is clearly wrong. And why I think that's wrong, and for anyone who thinks that becoming an artist of any sort is just it's no way to make a career. You should be a doctor, you should be an engineer. I think you need to rethink that opinion, because it really is an opinion. Because if you really did some research and really started to look around, you start to educate yourself in terms of what art really is about, then you would understand that art is a really great career path. And I mean in all kinds of facets. Specifically, I can speak about mine, which is concept art, like the ability to draw and paint. So if you just look around, if you look at like the lampshades that you've bought, the TV that you bought, the car that you bought, the shoes that you wear, the clothes that you wear, the architecture that you live in, the house that you live in or work at, wherever you are literally surrounded by art. You are literally wearing art. And what I mean by that is that someone out there who was a creative decided to design something, to put something together and they made it so that it was valuable to you enough that you would go spend your money. So where does all this money go, you know? And I think people need to realize that there's value there, and that this should be really enforced in schools. Like, and I don't mean like college or trade schools. I'm talking about early on, like in high school or middle school. And because if you start to do this, then people will start taking it more seriously. People will start to understand the kinds of schools that are out there that are no good for them, and they're taking advantage of their lack of information and their ignorance to come into their school and have tremendous debt. Because if you educate these people early on, these youngins, they will start to understand and say, okay, this school's clearly bogus, you know? And you start to really populate the world with people that are educated in the creative arts. And I think it's important that everybody has this too. Like, not even just like people that are creative or artistically, like, I think people that are really interested in science or literature or any of that kind of, like, or history, world history, or any of that kind of stuff, that this is also valuable to them. Because, you know, a movie came out recently by Christopher Nolan. It was directed by him. And he had a astrophysicist named Kip Thorne help him figure out the science. And it was great to see an interview between him and... There was an interview with him and Kip Thorne and Nolan where they were talking with each other to, you know, interviewer. And basically... they were talking about how Nolan would have all these crazy, creative, and insane ideas, and Kip Thorne kept on bringing it down to reality. But then they complemented each other a lot, because what happened was Nolan was really getting informed. He was really getting educated in things that he was already interested in, but, you know, he didn't know the math. Where Kip Thorne knew the math, but then he started to rethink his own theories and thinking of a different approach to his theories by listening to, you know, Nolan's crazy ideas. And what happens is that what leads me to kind of like the final point of this is that, you know, like, really art really inspires everything, right? Like, you want to have someone that is creative giving you a lot of insight and giving you a lot of ideas as a scientist. You know, a lot of scientists today wanted to become scientists because they saw a great TV show. They saw Star Trek, an episode of Star Trek, and they're like, man, what if, you know? So imagine if that curiosity and that, you know, that hardcore sense of being creative was really enforced, not at, like, you know, when you're a preschooler or like elementary school kid, you know, but as you're growing up, becoming an adult, and treated as a real, true profession. You know, not to say that it isn't today, it definitely is. I'm lucky that I'm part of an industry that does respect its artists, mostly. But there's places where they don't at all. They treat artists like whatever. Where there used to be a time that artists were, you know, paid their whole lifetimes for all their great works and ambitions. You know, and now it's just kind of like, meh, you know? And I think that mentality needs to change. And I think if you're a high school instructor or you're a principal to a high school or middle school, and you have enough authority to really kind of shape this kind of revolution of thought, I think you should really consider it. Because here's like really what I think would be great, especially because I have kids and they're growing up. I would love that my kids could go to like a high school or middle school that really enforced this type of understanding, saying, hey, you have your math and science here, and then you also have your arts and crafts, right? And test them almost as much, right? Start to quantify what a good artist can be. You know, a lot of people start to get really subjective about what good art is. But it's clear to me, as I've worked in the professional field since like 2007, right? It's clear to me that you can quantify skill. You can quantify ability, you know. Preference is definitely there and opinions are definitely there, but you can definitely look at someone who's, let's say, a Disney animator, like draws really animation style, versus someone who draws really like realistic and gritty, you know, video game, like Modern Warfare, right? You get like this really grunge. But you can look at animation style. Like, I love movies that are made from Pixar, for example. Like, I love Up, I love WALL-E. But then I love, you know, movies that are just absurd and have lots of explosions, like, you know, the Transformers movies, or like Taken, where you just see Liam Neeson kick people's butt for 2 hours. I can like both movies, and I understand what I like about these movies. You know, and I don't have to just be on one team. And I think it's important that we start to treat education like that as well. We start to really say that because science and math seems like it's really easy to quantify. Well, it is, because you can say 2 + 2 = 4, and you can test that. If you don't know that, you don't know that. But you can do the same with art, trust me. You can start to evaluate tonal values and color theory and all these things and quantify if someone knows their theory in color, knows their theories and values. Do they know anatomy? Do they know perspective? Do they understand how to paint in light form? This is quantifiable. Same thing with musical instruments. Again, the creative arts in terms of music is really easy to quantify. But I think if we start to put more mindful, like educated people in terms of controlling what these tests could be, I think we can make really great tests that can challenge your creativeness, right? Could you imagine you're doing like an SAT test and you're doing all the math equations, and you're writing essays, and then at the end it says draw a horse, and that's a real thing. It's like, if you can't draw a horse, then you fail. And making that something that could be part of the test, or draw a horse that it comes from a certain world, and really engage that creative mind as well, instead of just the academic mind. Because I think a lot of people feel really at loss when they grow up and they have to stick with academics because their parents told them, society told them, but they've always wanted to do something creative. And they have to sometimes lose tremendous amounts of money in debt, because going to some of the best art schools today costs more than being a doctor. Isn't that crazy? And so I don't think that should be the case. So thanks again, guys, for reaching the 10,000 subscribers. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be actively trying to put more videos out, so that way I can give you my point of view and thoughts from an artistic perspective, a creative perspective, but at least has some educational value to it. So that way if you're a high school student and you want to learn from somebody that has some understanding of the creative arts in a more practical and more quantifiable way, hopefully this will be the place for you. And for those of you who already follow my work because you're just a fan of what I do and what I draw, thank you. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All right.